from the JoyNews Center. This is News at 8.
Now you're welcome to the the Primetime News Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. Coming up, court throws out legal suit by the Executive Director of Center for Freedom and Accuracy seeking to stop takeover of Merchant Bank by Fortis because it says he lacks the capacity to sue. But CFA boss says the case is far from over. Council of State expresses worry about the pace of justice delivery and its consequences in the fight against corruption. President Mahama hints government is planning to leverage its massive purchasing power to support local manufacturers, a move he says should shift his administration into the second gear. Parliament approves 36 billion Ghana cedis to fund government programs in 2014. And CPP threatens massive demonstration if law permitting cultivation of genetically modified foods in Ghana is passed. We also have business, sports, showbiz and international news all coming up in the next 60 minutes.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
In our very first story, an Accra Commercial Court has thrown out the case brought by the Executive Director of the Center for Freedom and Accuracy, Andrea Wuni, seeking to challenge the sale of Merchant Bank to private equity firm Fortis. The court, presided over by Justice Sophia Benasco, said Andrea Wuni lacks locus to meddle in the matter. His lawyers, however, say the matter is not entirely over.
The Center for Freedom and Accuracy was in court, seeking an injunction on the transaction to offload SNET's majority stake in Merchant Bank to Fortis. But counsel for Fortis, Tony Lita, at a previous hearing, had argued that Andrea Wuni was neither a board member nor a trustee of Merchant Bank, and as such, had no locus to send the matter to court. The court, presided over by Justice Sophia Benasco, upheld the arguments of Tony Lita and said, even though the matter was of public interest, Andrea Wuni did not have the legal capacity to challenge the sale of Merchant Bank by its biggest shareholder, SNET, in court. Justice Sophia Benasco said SNET by law reports to Parliament and therefore suggested that the right person to protect Andrea Wuni's interest would be his MP. She added that only a trustee could be clothed with the powers Andrea Wuni is seeking. Counsel for Andrea Wuni, Ibet Fabio, said they would appeal the matter.
We disagree with the ruling of the court and we'll file an appeal. In any event, there are two more rulings coming on in January, meaning that this matter is still subsisting. So until 27 January, when those rulings come, the matter is still subsisting.
He later questioned the court's ruling.
If the position of the court is that, yes, you are a contributor to SNET, but if SNET uses your money for any other thing which does not bring profit and which will affect your pensions in future, you have no right to question SNET. If that is the state of the law, we will know now, so that people will advise themselves whether it is even worth putting your money in a trust that is not accountable to you.
Yep. Counsel for Fortis Equity Fund, Tony Lita, who declined to speak on camera, told the media, though he was excited about the ruling, he was disappointed the court did not award any punitive cost against the plaintiff. According to him, the lawsuit had hurt the image of Merchant Bank and Fortis far more than the alleged mismanagement the erstwhile managements of the bank have been accused of.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Center for Freedom and Accuracy, Andrea Wuni, has indicated the case is far from over. He spoke to Joy News' Bright Nanamfo on today's big story.
Because it's a landmark ruling that defines the relationship between the contributor and the Senate fund. Today, it has been ruled that contributors who just contribute, that they have no right to question what happens with their contributions. That's the ruling. So really, you can take out Andrea Wuni out of this ruling. You can take out Merchant Bank out of this ruling. that even if Senate goes to Las Vegas and begins to gamble with your contributions, you have no right to ask any questions. That's the power relations that have been defined by the ruling. Because it involves a lot of people, millions of people contribute to Senate Fund, and because this ruling affects all of you, if we do not do anything to reverse it, it stays there for even generations yet unborn. That's what it means. So it is an enormous responsibility, and I think it is only right that we exploit every opportunity that still exists to right whatever has happened. So I don't know what is difficult about an appeal. I hope that the lawyers will be able to supply something different, something new, something stronger, whatever it is. And I will discuss it with them. And if I'm comfortable with what they have, I will go along with them. If I'm not, I'll tell them to put a stop on it. Remember that we are not the ones who took this matter to court.
Right.
It was Coronita who took this matter to court to contest mine capacity. In fact, remove mine and put to contest the contributors' capacity. That's the.
Right, but we have more coming up on this particular story. Coming up in the business segment, we have a statement from Fortis saying that they have appointed managing director for Merchant Bank. Those details will be coming up in the business segment. Now, the Council of State has lamented what it describes as a slow pace of justice delivery in the country, especially its implications for the fight against corruption. At a meeting with the President, its chair, Cecilia Johnson, said the anti-corruption battle will be fruitless if institutions supposed to deal with the canker remain weak. Gifty Ando-Apia reports the Council also made a number of recommendations.
The Council also commended government for a number of initiatives such as the Code of Conduct for Ministers and a task force to deal with officials indicted in the Auditor General's report. It, however, said all these will amount to nothing in the face of the systemic drawbacks.
The inadequacy of the number of legal officers at the Attorney General Department have over the years served a major drawback to the fight against corruption. Motivate these institutions through incentives and improved conditions of service.
The Council also praised government for its intervention following the recent utility tariff increase, but maintained that future increases will have to be staggered. It also asked that government should by all means ensure the recent housing project started at Ningo is completed. The restructuring of JIDA also came up.
There is no doubt that if managed properly, JIDA will become an effective avenue for employment creation for the teeming youth who remain unemployed after graduating from our educational institutions. We therefore urge government to ensure that competent and patriotic Ghanaians are entrusted with the responsibility of managing such a strategic national institution at all levels. Government must also ensure close monitoring of the various models and funds provided to achieve the laudable objectives of JIDA.
The Council urged President Mahama to personally intervene in the Dagbon issue to bring reconciliation and urged governments to exploit the unifying potential of football as the country prepares to participate in the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. President Mahama, in his response, said his next State of Nation address will spell out exactly what his government intends to do. He said an ongoing dialogue with the Education Ministry on nationalism-related studies will be further pursued.
All the issues that have been raised by the chairperson are very topical in respect of national debates. I think that probably the most critical issue that you have raised today is our sense of nationalism and patriotism. A group of people, just took a vehicle with a hoist and removed all the street lights for more than 1 kilometer on the new N1 highway. I've raised it several times with the Ministry of Education and the Education Service, and they say it is contained in social studies. But I think there's also space for us to do a public education campaign. The State of the Nation Address is going to map out a solid vision as to where we want to take this country. Based on the State of the Nation Address, the medium-term development framework is being prepared and finalized, and that medium-term framework will show exactly what we want to do in this country.
The president later went into a closed session with the council. This is the second such meeting. For JoyNews, Gifty Andwapia, Pediase Lodge.
Well, President John Mahama has indicated government intends to harness its massive procurement budget to prop up local manufacturers from next year. He says the initiative will help to diversify the Ghanaian economy and shift it from its current first gear state into second. He was dropping hints about what is contained in the State of the Nation address for early next year after his meeting with the Council of State at the Pediase Lodge.
It is time to diversify our country's economy. In 1927, our major exports were gold, timber, and cocoa. Today, in the 21st century, in 2013, our major exports are gold, cocoa, and timber has fallen out because there are no more trees to cut. Otherwise, if there were trees, we will still be exporting timber. And so we believe that it's time to move the economy from just being primary produce exporters to advancing secondary and tertiary processing of our raw materials, and also empowering the manufacturing sector to grow. Of all the sectors, the manufacturing sector has been the slowest growing, and even though we're giving a lot of incentives in that sector, it's not responded as we had expected it. But I believe that with the new orientation that we're bringing, giving some stimulation to the private sector in terms of ensuring that as a priority for goods manufactured in Ghana, if government is procuring goods, it should give Ghanaian manufacturers the first priority so that they can have a guaranteed market that allows them to expand their production and employ more young people. We will also activate the Industrial Development Fund that we talked about. And this time, our intention is not to give money to manufacturers, but if you have a manufacturing enterprise and you need additional equipment to expand your production and employ more people, then what government can do is to give you the guarantees to establish the LC to expand your factory so that you can employ more people. And I hope that you take the opportunity to get some well-deserved rest before we start the hectic 2014, by which time my government will be in second gear. We're transiting from first gear to second gear. This year has been quite challenging, we all know.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has described as regrettable the sickening state of the country's education and called for serious intervention to save it from total collapse. NAT says it is planning to launch a project next year aimed at forcing government to pass a national education policy for the public good.
The conference, which is themed Education in Crisis, Development Agenda for 2015 and beyond, is expecting about 800 delegates and observers, as well as representatives of some international sister organizations, mostly Education International affiliates. The National Delegates Conference is the highest decision-making body of NAT and is the organ that formulates policies for governance of the association. The conference is held every 4 years, and it is at this forum that major policy decisions affecting education, the teaching profession, and other socio-economic issues are discussed and necessary decisions taken.
Do we have enough places for our students to study? The materials, textbook, educational materials, are they there? Then education in crisis. The year 2009, 2 sets of BSSSC students completed Are you sure our state tertiary institutions can absorb them? We are not saying everybody who complete SSS should proceed to tertiary. But if an average of 204,000, they are completing every year. And this year, we have 409,000, twice that number. What is happening? What are we putting in place? Because education is a shared responsibility.
The NAT National Treasurer gave an indication of what they would expect in a national education policy from government.
National education policy, whoever will come to power will tell you that it is there. But both of us, we know that at certain times the political decision overrides the national decision. But whatever that is the union, the media, whatever decision that we can, whatever input that we can make to influence the decision, education in crisis. Can we expand our tertiary institutions to absorb them?
Parliament has approved some 36 billion Ghana cedis to finance government programs as outlined in the 2014 budget. 6.4 billion Ghana cedis of the amount will be going to the District Assembly's Common Fund and other statutory funds for 2013. Members had earlier insisted on a session of the Committee of the Whole to discuss payment of the allowances before the House rises, delaying the passage of the appropriation bill as a result.
Mr. Speaker, I want your guidance on this matter. As long as they are not prepared to listen to me, you give your directions, and if you think we should go on the Committee of the Whole, let's proceed. If there's been a change, nobody has advised me. So I'm sitting here with our understanding that we'll go into Committee of the Whole, sort out some preliminary issues, and then proceed. So I'm completely at a loss.
All that we need to do is to let's proceed. And then, honorable members,
I don't want to contradict what you might have said, but I think that a promise is a promise. We've done considerable job on issues that were raised, and I believe that in about 10, maximum 15 minutes, you'll be able to finish everything, and then we can, with respect to the chair, come and deal with the outstanding matter, which shouldn't take any long time.
We can break for some few minutes for the Committee of the Whole.
That is so, Mr. Speaker.
The House has also approved a tax waiver of $35.7 million towards the implementation of the Ghana Dedicated Security Information System Project Phase 2.
We approved, $123.4 million as a loan. Now we are about to grant a tax waiver of $35.8 million, almost 29% of the loan. Put differently, it's as if even though we are contracting a loan of 123.4, the effective amount is 87.6 million. Mr. Speaker, I think Parliament ought to direct the ministry to do a special audit of the items that are going to come in. Yes, this is an interim assessment, but the amount is so high, and I think the difficulty is that it went through executive approval.
But we have also set up committees involving GRA and the tax policy unit to monitor the importation of these items. Part of the reason for the high nature of this exemption is also because the waiver does not cover only taxes, but it covers all other charges.
I direct also that the ministry to tax the tax policy unit to closely monitor its implementation to ensure that there is value for money and the country is not shortchanged, as duly captured in the committee's report.
The Convention People's Party has reiterated calls on Parliament not to pass the Plant Breeders Bill, which will allow the cultivation of genetically modified crops in Ghana. The party is threatening to hit the streets if the bill is passed into law.
The CPP has already raised concerns about the country's romance with genetically modified organisms, saying it would introduce dangerous modifications in the DNA of foods that would cause diseases to consumers. The party at a news conference maintained its position, insisting the country will not have to venture into GMOs if the current conventional methods in agricultural research and development will be fully exploited.
We are not in the situation where our food security is threatened for what? Because of non-availability of land. And therefore you want to increase per square meter a greater yield. We can do that without necessarily genetically modifying, our plant genome. We can do that. Because what it means is that we can clear the environment, we can make sure that the plants or the soil is well fertilized. If we did that, we will get a greater yield.
They noted the passing of the Plant Breeders Bill is against human rights.
1996 World Food Summit Declaration implies the availability of food in a quantity and quality sufficient to satisfy the dietary needs of individuals, free from adverse substances and acceptable within a given culture. When you look at the Plant Breeders Bill, it denies the Ghanaian of that right to adequate food. And I think we should not use our parliament, which is supposed to be the mouthpiece of the people, to take away the rights of the people.
Genetically modified foods are foods produced from organisms that have had specific changes introduced into its DNA using the methods of genetic engineering. These techniques have allowed for the introduction of new crop traits as well as far greater control over a food's genetic structure than previously afforded by methods such as selective breeding and mutation breeding. There are, however, concerns genetically modified foods are toxic and could lead to various diseases, including cancer. Hence, the controversy surrounding its introduction in Ghana and other countries around the world.
Authorities at the Koforidua Central Hospital are reaching out to the public to come donate blood to stock the hospital's blood bank so they can save the lives of accident victims and pregnant mothers who are brought there. The head of administration, Peter Boateng, has been speaking to JoyNews about the shortage of blood at the Eastern Region Hospital. Haruna Yusuf Bumpuni reports.
To the head of administration of the hospital, Peter Boateng, as Christmas approaches, the hospital expects to receive a lot of road traffic accident victims, and some will need blood. Yet, the hospital's blood bank does not have enough.
So we are calling on the public to come and donate to our blood bank so that in case we need blood to save accident victims, to save mothers who come to the maternity to deliver, people that we send to the theater to operate that will need blood, we will have enough blood at the blood bank to take care of these people.
The deputy medical technologist in charge of the hospital's blood bank, Kingsley Bazabehawo, took JoyNews through the screening process of blood before transfusion.
Not all donated blood are safe for use. You have to screen to make sure that the blood is safe for transfusion. And then we take into consideration like HIV testing is one of the tests, hepatitis B, surface antigen is one, and then syphilis and hepatitis C. So before we can say that this blood is safe for transfusion, we have to make sure that all these parameters are negative or non-reactive to the blood donated. And then after testing that, you have to also perform the blood group. You have to check the blood group of the donor, because every patient at the ward, before a blood will be given to you, we have to know the patient blood group and then the corresponding donor to blood group.
The Eastern Regional Blood Donor Organizer of the hospital, Mojifa Fanuel, said the hospital blood bank is in dire need of blood for emergencies. He therefore appealed to all churches, mosques and organizations to help stock the blood bank. As at the time the news team visited the hospital at around 2:30 p.m., only 4 people have come to donate blood. Haruna Yusuf Wumpini's report from the Eastern Region.
As part of efforts to economically empower and make people self-reliant, a young entrepreneur in Ghana has been engaging some youth and women in rural areas to acquire skills in the manufacture of bamboo bicycles. The project under the Ghana Bamboo Bikes Initiative aims at taking advantage of the abundance of the raw material in Ghana to manufacture and assemble high-quality but affordable bicycles.
So you can see the bicycle.
The technology allows the manufacture of quality bicycles from bamboo using simple tools such as chisels, screwdrivers and spanners, so that unlike the steel-framed bicycles which require a more sophisticated fabrication process, the bamboo bicycles can easily be put together. The initiative focuses on developing a climate-smart alternative mode of transport, whilst creating employment opportunities for women and youth with little or no education.
We are more passionate about economic empowerment for women and youth. For 3 years now, we've been able to train more than 20 youths. We've been able to export some of our bicycles to international platforms, and locally too, people are also patronizing. Right now, if you have about 500 to 1,000 bicycles every month, there is a huge demand now. We're also hoping that we can broaden our scope or diversify our production to go into bamboo bike ambulance and bamboo cargo bikes for women to carry loads from their farms to their homes or their destination.
She highlighted the environmental friendliness of the technology.
It's relevant to environment because, as you know, bamboo contains a lot of oxygen that balances the carbon dioxide, and we are encouraging a lot of farmers to go into bamboo plantation. Environmentally, is mitigating climate change. Yeah.
The Bright Generation Community Foundation is part of the UNDP's Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, and the Bamboo Bicycles Initiative has support from the very top at the UN, with the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon seen in this endorsement. Resident Coordinator Ruby Sando-Rojan commended the foundation for making good use of the funds awarded them.
This initiative is an initiative that should be encouraged and should be recognized, and they should be congratulated. And one way of doing it is to see how is it that we can contribute to improving the environment. Innovation, environment, and women's empowerment. I think this has everything going for it.
The foundation also presented a prototype bicycle to the UNDP office.
I probably should be getting myself a bamboo bicycle. Up next we have business, and as I told you earlier on, we have more on this Merchant Bank Fortis saga coming up. Stay tuned.
My name is Abigail Adomakoinchi, here to update you on what's happening in the world of business. Now, Joy Business has learnt Nula Salome has been appointed the new managing director of Merchant Bank. A statement dated December 18, 2013 and signed by Emmanuel Botre on behalf of the board of directors announcing the appointment also announced that Fortis has formally and officially taken over Merchant Bank. It continues as shareholders. We wish to assure the general public and all other stakeholders that we are committed to achieving our objectives for Merchant Bank. This includes putting all the human and capital resources necessary for success at the disposal of Merchant Bank. And it actually goes ahead to state that Ms. Nila Salome, I beg your pardon, as the managing director designate. They actually announced that, and they took the opportunity also to thank the general public and customers of Merchant Bank and staff for their patience and support this far. Now, the appointment by the new owners for Fortis Equity Fund comes amidst a legal challenge over the acquisition itself, and at a time the Bank of Ghana is yet to confirm that it has been given its final blessing to the Fortis takeover. Well, away from that, inflation in the prices of goods and services produced by industries in Ghana saw a 13.7% increase in November. This, the Ghana Statistical Service has blamed largely on the utility subsector, which recorded the highest year-on-year producer price inflation of 40.8%.
The increase in the producer price inflation by 13.7% represents an increase in producer inflation by 2.1 percentage points relative to the rate in October 2013. The month-on-month change in producer prices between October 2013 and November 2013 was 1.5%, with the utility subsector recording the highest year-on-year PPI of 40.8%. The PPI, after declining continuously over a 5-month period to record the lowest rate of 4.7% in August 2013, has since been on the rise.
For all industry, the rate has fluctuated between November 2012 until March 2013, when it started declining to record a rate of 10.2% in April 2013, and subsequently declined to record 4.7% in August 2013. Since then, the rate has increased consistently to record 13.7% in November 2013.
According to the service, the trend will remain if the utility subsector continues to go up.
Utility prices started going up from September, October. So you see that from between September and October, utility prices went up. And then it affected the indices also. And then these indices, it is said that if there is an increase in the indices in a particular month, the effect will be shown from month to month. As long as this utility price increase is there, it will affect the
remain
rate
high.
For the rate to remain high. So if come September 2014, if there is no increase in the utility prices, then the rate will come down.
The manufacturing sector, which covers more than 2/3 of total industry, recorded a producer price inflation rate of 15.5%, followed by the mining and quarrying subsector with a negative 14.9%.
The Building and Civil Engineering Contractors Association of Ghana has lauded government's plans to pay contractors and suppliers through the Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System (GIFMIS). They are, however, worried the system cannot guarantee the swift issuance of monies to them for projects per its implementation.
Suppliers and other service providers would no longer be issued with checks under GIFMIS. Rather, payments would be made directly using the SWIFT system at the Bank of Ghana to their bank account electronically. The Building and Civil Engineering Contractors Association of Ghana, while welcoming the initiative, says collaboration with stakeholders on the matter was not enough.
I think there should always be collaboration between government and the private sector in issues like this, so that at least the private sector will be fully involved in the decision making, in the planning, and all that goes to bring systems into place. When you are not involved, it becomes very difficult to own the activity or the issue or whatever thing is to be implemented.
Though they agree it is a good system, they are unsure how effective its implementation will be.
My only concern is that, is it going to be very efficient? Will we see a real change? Will it not be like the old system that we are crying that is not good? That sometimes government just don't have the money. Sometimes they have, and it becomes very difficult for them to pay on time. You see, and the contractor, after doing the work, needs the money back to pay the bank, to pay his suppliers, to pay his workers. So if after you've done a piece of work and it takes so many months for you to get the money back, you see, it is not only the contractor who suffers, but the workers suffer, his suppliers also suffer, and the banks equally suffer.
The payments to be done through GIFMIS, however, forms part of reforms started in 2010 to ensure that service providers receive their monies on time.
In other news, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrusi, has reaffirmed government's commitment to reducing the cost of doing business in Ghana. He gave the assurance at the inauguration and shortcutting of phases 2 and 3 respectively of the infrastructural capacity of Pomasido Ghana, producers of cowbell milk and other food enhancement products.
Pomasido was founded in 1979 by Robert Rose, having identified a lack of highly nutritional products in Africa taken for granted. He subsequently took the opportunity to provide milk powder in small portions that could be packaged in flexible sachets for consumption. Promasidor began operations in Ghana in 1999 in order to reflect its growth over the years. Promasidor kick-started an infrastructural expansion in 2011. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Harun Idrisu, cut the tape to inaugurate the second phase of the dairy factory.
For the safety and security of our work.
According to him, strengthening the manufacturing sector is crucial to the country's efforts towards attaining a middle income status.
Be working closely with industry in determining those of you who use local materials to increase and enhance your productivity, and we'll be happy to work with the Ministry of Finance to work out some tax incentives in order that we can encourage production. I'm also happy to further assure you that government remains deeply committed to improving our enabling environment and improving the legal and regulatory environment that facilitates doing business in Ghana.
The Trade Minister told the facility to acquaint himself with its operations. Managing Director of Promasidor Ghana, Oliver Ferry, said the company will not relent in its quest to promote both social and economic well-being of the ordinary Ghanaian.
We have been committed to making a difference in the lives of the Ghanaian people. This we have achieved in diverse ways. From staff strength of 23 people in 1999, Promasidor today has over 600 employees. Promasidor has also contributed to supporting its community by providing social support in areas of education and health, not forgetting its immense contribution in the field of sport in Ghana. Specific sporting discipline supported include cycling, athletics, swimming and table tennis.
In a related event, the sod was cut to start work on the final phase of the dairy factory, which is expected to be completed by next year.
For more business news, do log on to MyJoy Online. Do stay on for more news.
Time to catch up with what's making headlines in the world of sports, and CF Monterrey finished the FIFA Club World Cup Morocco 2013 journey on a high after defeating CAF champions Ahly 5-1 at Marrakesh Stadium to claim 5th place. The match was the first time in the Club World Cup history that two teams faced each other for a second time, as both sides met in Japan last year. Now here are the highlights of the game, and you can see that right now on your screen, some of the goals that were scored in that particular game, 5-1. And as I speak, there's another game live on the Joy Sports channel. It's between Atletico Mineiro and Raja Casablanca. Raja are leading by 1-0. So these are live pictures on the Joy Sports channel. It's very interesting because the winner of this game is actually going to play against Bayern Munich in the final on Saturday. So we're keeping close tabs to all that's going to happen in this particular game. Raja up against Atletico Mineiro. Of course, Ronaldinho's Atletico Mineiro are not doing well at the moment. We'll find out what happens at the end of the game. And the Black Maidens will play Germany for the second successive time at the group stages of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup after the draw for next year's finals paired Ghana alongside Germany, Canada and North Korea. Ghana's Black Maidens have been drawn against Germany for the second successive time at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals slated for Costa Rica, which takes place between March 15th and April 4 next year. The coach Evans Adote-led Maidens team returned to the tournament after their bronze-winning feat in the 2012 edition and have been paired in Group B with Korea Republic, Germany and Canada. The Black Maidens will base in the city of Liberia for the first two games and face North Korea and Germany on March 15th and 18th respectively, before travelling to Tabaz 4 days later for the final group fixture against Canada. Last year's tournament in Azerbaijan saw Ghana play Germany twice. First in the opening Group D fixture, which saw the Germans win with a 2-1 scoreline, and then in the third place game, the Maidens avenged with a 1-0 victory to snatch the bronze medal. Well, we now have a look at the entire draw on your screen now. Just find out what's happening in all the other groups. And there you have it. In Group A, we have Costa Rica, Venezuela, Italy, Zambia. In Group B, we have Ghana, North Korea, Germany, Canada. In Group C is New Zealand, Paraguay, Spain, Japan. In Group D, Mexico, China, Colombia, and Nigeria. So really, Ghana has a lot to do with Germany for the greater part of next year. The under-17 women will be playing them, and of course the Black Stars will do so. Talk about the Black Stars. Let's talk about the local Black Stars now. And they are set to play a friendly with Namibia in Windhoek on January 4, 2014, following ongoing negotiations between the management of the home-based Black Stars and the Namibian Football Association. The local Black Stars have booked a friendly with Namibia on January 4, 2014 in Windhoek as part of preparations for the 2014 African Nations Championship Finals in South Africa. The local Black Stars will be camping in Namibia in 5 days' time to acclimatize before the second-tier Nations Cup reserved for local-based players in South Africa. GFA executive member Fred Papo is already in Namibia to conclude logistics ahead of the team's arrival. Brave Warriors coach Ricardo Manetti is expected to name his squad against Max Okonedu's side later this week. The local Black Stars will be at their camp base in Bloemfontein on January 8th. They have been paired with Libya, Ethiopia and Congo in Group C. The tournament's third edition takes place between 11th January and 1st February 2014. And sports here also ends with me, George Adi Jr. Israel will join us next with some more news. You have a good night.
Sports. Ghanaian actress Nadia, who has been in the news recently for her newly produced movie, The Diary of Imogen Brown, has finally spoken on her alleged relationship with her Nigerian counterpart Jim Iyke. Describing him as her best friend, Nadia says Jim Iyke has been very supportive in her life.
I want to talk to you today about drugs. Drug abuse.
It appears Nadia cannot run away from issues relating to her relationship with Nigeria's bad boy Jim Iyke, especially when the media is concerned. When showbiz caught up with her, she, among other things, spoke about her relationship with Jim, recounting her wonderful trip with him on her birthday.
You just said it. Best friends. I mean, I think friends do, friends try to be there for each other. Friends make each other laugh. That's what friends are for. So he thought that would make me happy, and he did that.
She also commented on her supposed engagement ring.
Well, I can't take attention from any other ring because they all look alike. So it's not like I want people to, this is the same as this, and this is the same as that, and this is the same as like 5 rings, 5 similar rings. So it's not like I'm trying to take attention from anything. If I'm going to get married, if I'm going to have a wedding, I'd invite everybody.
Meanwhile, her movie, The Diary of Imogen Brown, is being premiered on December 23 at the Accra International Conference Center.
If you are here for money. Okay, so it's not really a big deal. They were doing a movie together, and that's why we're seeing them a lot more together. Now, this year's edition of the event that celebrates and rewards excellence in the gospel music industry, the Ghana Gospel Industry Awards, which is organized by our sister station Adoma FM, comes off at the National Theatre on Sunday, December 22. Ahead of the event, the organizers have released the nominations list, and some way, somehow, Sarkodie and EL find themselves on the list.
A total of 18 outstanding artists will be honored for their contribution to the growth of Ghana's gospel industry over the past years, and will also showcase the creme de la creme of Ghana's gospel artists during this year's edition of the Ghana Gospel Music Industry Awards. The categories include New Artist of the Year, which is being vied for by Patience Nyako, Ernest Echampon, Mabel Lottery, and Miriam Afari. Album of the Year, New Artist of the Year, Song of the Year, Popular Video of the Year, Alternative Gospel Video of the Year, Alternative Gospel Song of the Year, Collaboration of the Year, and Urban Gospel Artist of the Year. And there are Sarkodie and EL who find their songs in the categories Alternative Gospel Video of the Year, Alternative Gospel Song of the Year. Winners of 2 special categories, Honorary Award of the Year and Lifetime Achievement Award, will also be celebrated. Organizers, Adom FM, have released a short code 1736 for the general public to choose their favorite artist in the 9 public voting categories.
That's it for showbiz. In our closing headlines, the court has thrown out a legal suit by the executive director of the Center for Freedom and Accuracy, seeking to stop the takeover of Merchant Bank by Fortis because it says he lacks the capacity to sue. But the CFA boss says the case is far from over. The Council of State has expressed worry about the pace of justice delivery and its consequences in the fight against corruption. President Mahama has meanwhile dropped hints government is planning to leverage its massive purchasing power to support local manufacturers, a move he says should shift its administration into the second gear. Parliament has approved 36 billion Ghana cedis to fund government programs in 2014. And the CPP is threatening a massive demonstration if the law permitting the cultivation of genetically modified foods is passed.